Breaking news tonight, terror attack in New York City. At least 8 people are dead as a terrorist drives a rented truck down a bike path. A New York City police officer stopped him as he got out of the car. Diana Blass has the full story.
It happened just after 3 p.m. Tuesday. A man driving a rented Home Depot pickup truck plowed down a busy bike path near the Hudson River in Manhattan, killing at least 8 people, injuring dozens of others. It took place near the World Trade Center site and steps away from Stuyvesant High School, where students managed to capture video of the scene from their classroom window.
So we just looked outside the window and they were just laying there dead.
A bunch of bicycles, they were on the floor. It was really chaotic.
The suspect is now in custody. Reports have named him as 29-year-old Saiful Saipov of Florida. At a press conference earlier, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio confirmed it as terrorism.
This was an act of terror, and a particularly cowardly act of terror.
The press conference came about 2 hours after the incident unfolded. Some early reports described it as road rage. Here's what we now know. The driver entered the bike path near Houston Street, moving southbound until he collided with a school bus on Chambers Street, injuring 2 adults and 2 children. He then got out of the truck holding what appeared to be 2 handguns. An officer shot him in the abdomen, and police later discovered the suspect's weapons to be a paintball gun and a pellet gun. One witness recounts a terrifying moment when the suspect pointed one of his weapons at her daughter.
I'm sorry, she just said I saw the man with the guns. He pointed a gun at me. I'm sorry, I have to go get my child.
Now, this all happened hours before a Halloween parade in Manhattan, which went on as planned. Officials confirm there will be an increased police presence throughout the city. I'm Diana Blass reporting for Chasing News.
Thank you, Diana. All right, let's bring in security expert, former FBI and DEA Bob Strang. So, Bob, what do you make of this? I mean, there were a lot of confusing reports when it first happened. All of a sudden, immediately on Twitter and even some news reports talking about possible road rage, etc. And then within about an hour and a half, all of a sudden, the word terrorism crept into the language. Are we deluding ourselves? Is our government actually ready for things like this? This is scaring a lot of people, that you could be killed on a bike path in Manhattan.
The unfortunate part, Bill, is that this could happen anywhere in Manhattan. And whether it be on Fifth Avenue or any of our main avenues or side streets. And the barriers that are in Times Square, the barriers that are around the World Trade Center and different historical sites in New York, they're not on every street corner. They're not on every block. And unfortunately, this is true not only in New York City, but really across our country.
Let me ask you from a personal standpoint, as a security expert, as a guy that has been around and seen a lot of carnage over your career, what do you tell your own family? I mean, what are the preventative steps that law enforcement folks and security experts are telling their own family, spouse, kids on how to act in public, places to avoid, things like that? Or is it a different conversation?
No, look, it's we talk about this every day. My son went to Stuyvesant High School, which is right there across the street from Chambers Street.
Yeah.
So, those kids crossed that street where this vehicle drove down the wrong way every day.
But what about the root cause here? Let's go back. I mean, there are reports now that the suspect was screaming Allahu Akbar as he exited the truck. That was reported from witnesses and other people, but it seems politicians, again, reluctant to repeat that information. What are you hearing?
Nobody wants to get ahead of themselves. No one wants to talk about anything that they don't have down as a fact. So people aren't going to identify it specifically for what they know that it is. They're going to let it be very broad in the very beginning. They're going to let the police do their job, execute those search warrants, maybe do the surveillance, interview the family, quickly identify potentially other people that may have co-conspirators out there or other plots. So there's a lot of things that go into this. So you got to give the politicians a break, and you've got to give the police a break when you have a breaking story like this.
Bob, what about the surveillance of mosques? That was a hugely contentious issue back and forth, certainly during the campaign, coming out of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Do you think we get back to something like that? And is it appropriate at this time, knowing what we know at this point?
Well, Bill, I don't think we ever really left it totally. I think that we base it on probable cause. We base it on information that we get from informants and from wiretaps and from social media. And, intelligence, surveillance is our number one preventative tool that we have to stop incidents like this. So I think that it's ongoing. I think the 2,000 police officers that are assigned to Terrorism New York, working with the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, intelligence and surveillance are part of their daily activities.
Okay, Bob, thanks. Always good to talk to you. Appreciate it. Be
Thanks,
safe.
Bill. Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.